Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success. Tough times require for us to make the more difficult decisions. It's never easy, but can become a lot less stressful if we go about it a certain way. Are you feeling like the tougher decisions are coming up more frequently? Is there a nervousness building around it? Stay tuned as we learn how to cope better with making the tough decisions. Welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up podcast with Adrian Starks. If you're looking for the ideas that could be your breakthrough for change in your business, career, or personal life, this podcast is just for you. Join Adrian as he speaks on topics of self-development and interviews a variety of entrepreneurs, business owners, and thought leaders to reveal their ideas and solutions to success and its challenges. Subscribe to the show and leave a review. It's time to champion up and be a courageous creator of change. Welcome back, my champions, my courageous creators of change, to the Purposeful Life Show. I'm your host, Adrian Starks, and thank you for listening. How are you guys doing out there right now across the world? These are some tough times, and I know a lot of us are frustrated and a lot of us are feeling like we don't know how much longer we can hold on and what is going to be the next step coming from the government or our health officials. We're getting anxious. We're finding many families that are breaking apart because of this, many friendships that are beginning to distance even more. We're also finding people who are becoming more lonely during these tough moments. Today, we're going to talk about making tough decisions in the times of challenges. And it is these tough decisions that will shape and mold our character that we're going to take forth into the next experience we have, the next opportunities we have, and the next challenges that are going to keep coming our way. I recall this excerpt from Howard Thurman, and he was the mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And let me tell you something, guys. Howard Thurman was a bad boy. I mean, he was a prolific writer, and he got deep into the heart of the matter. Howard said that in a time of personal crisis, we are placed into a closet with ourselves, where there is a personal self-confrontation, and we must ask ourselves 3 questions. Who am I really? Why am I here? Where am I going with all of this? 3 critical questions that a lot of people are asking themselves right now as they're quarantined at home for the first time in their lives. We have become so accustomed to running around, being in transit in cars, buses, trains, planes. We have forgotten how to sit still and to really get to know ourselves. This is a pain point for so many right now, and it's causing people to feel lonely because they're not used to being alone. And I must agree, we are humans. We have to have a human touch. We have to have hugs. We want to see people. We want to sit and talk with them, have dinner, have breakfast, lunch. I went backwards on that one. But you see what I'm saying when it comes to us feeling lonely because we are used to being around each other. We're social beings. But a lot of this loneliness is coming from the inability to sit down with ourselves and to ask critical questions. Now, what's also going on right now is that we don't know ourselves well enough to make tough decisions, meaning that we have forgotten what our value systems are, what our goals are, what makes us smile when no one else is around. So we've been living our lives through the eyes of other people. We have been doing what they have wanted us to do for a very long time. And right now, there's a time for us to look at ourselves and make some tough decisions on what things we need to take away from our lives, what things we need help with, and also what we need to balance out more. Because when you can make tough decisions and begin to look at what matters to you and what your needs and wants are, you're going to be a more effective person out here in the world, whether it be personal relationships or in your businesses. Once you understand how powerful a decision is and that your change in your personal environments starts with you looking at something and saying, what does it mean to me? That is when you are going to find your whole world shifting. What we're finding right now is that there are some families that are afraid to make decisions because they're afraid of the backlash of what may come after that. Will my spouse not like me? Will my children hate me? Will I not become a favorite person of friends? And this is why so many people are afraid right now. And when this pandemic ends, they're going to still be in the same position they were before the pandemic occurred. And when we learn to start making tough decisions, this is what it does for us. It gives us confidence. It gives us a higher level of self-esteem. And it gives us the reassurance that we can make it through anything that is going to be pushing back against us. As in the words of Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. That means we have to make the decision of what action steps we need to take to keep going through those moments that challenge us. I'm going to share a story with you that put me into a position of realizing how important it is to make a decision and how that can create a ripple effect in your life. Back in 2002, I was provided with a tennis scholarship, full ride through a 4-year college. My dad was excited. You see, I grew up on the tennis courts. My dad played a lot of tennis, and he almost went pro, but there was just one little thing. He had me. Now, that's not making an excuse, but he had to really look at things logically and say, I've got this child on the way, and I have my wife, and do I really need to be traveling around the world right now? And he made a powerful decision to stay back and to teach in the community and to provide his services to the younger youth, particularly in the Black neighborhoods. They were not aware of tennis, and he wanted to give them an option, something different. So, of course, I was his protege. I grew up with a tennis racket in my hand, and I was good. By the time I got to high school, scouts were already looking at me. And when the time came, there was this college that I really wanted to go to in the Pacific Northwest. Went there, we did a tour. It was absolutely beautiful. I met the tennis coach. He was just infatuated with me because I had a particular style of playing that you don't see that much anymore. My dad taught me a way of holding the racket that we don't see. It's called an Eastern grip. Now, for your tennis players out there, you may know what I'm talking about, but for those who don't, there's 3 ways of holding the racket. There's the Eastern grip, there's a continental grip, and there's the Western grip. Now, the Western grip is the most popular because, of course, you can put a lot of topspin on the ball. But I was taught with the Eastern grip. But I'll get into a story about that some other time. The coach wanted me to be on the team, and he said, of course, we want to accept you here, and we're willing to sign the papers for the scholarship. Just let us know what we need to do. My dad was ecstatic. So when we got back home from our trip, I had a lot of thinking to do because I loved being there, and I loved the idea of walking into this new world and creating myself. See, even during this time, I was thinking about creating change, but there was something different. I didn't want to go there merely on a scholarship and just to play tennis all the time and to not have a personal life because you see, I would be doing 2 things, studying or being on a tennis court. There was no in between because with a scholarship, pretty much you've got to be there around the clock because they're watching you. They want to make sure they're getting their money's worth. So I kept thinking about it for a few weeks, and then the big decision came. I didn't want the scholarship. You could guess what my father thought, right? Oh my, he was mad at me for about a good year, but we are on great terms now. And even during that time, he was upset, but he sort of understood. You see, I didn't want to go there just to play tennis and to go to school. I wanted to go to school and to create a life for myself. I still love tennis. I still played when I was going there. I just didn't want to play competitively. I wanted to play for fun. That was the critical decision that I had to make. And if that decision wasn't made, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be on this podcast today. I wouldn't be speaking to people across the world today. I wouldn't be writing blogs and doing other amazing things that I love to do today and helping people champion up. because in college, I discovered the art of writing, the art of poetry, the art of public debates, the art of oratory. I discovered all of this in college because I took the time to look at myself, to investigate, to find out what my wants and needs are. Back to what I was saying earlier today about that self-confrontation that Howard Thurman mentioned, where the personal crisis puts us into, where we have to ask those 3 questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going with this? It's the same thing I'm asking you right now. You see, that powerful decision I made allowed me to find myself, allowed me to create new opportunities, and it allowed me to be here. So I don't regret a thing. But it wasn't comfortable, you see. There was a little bit of tension between me and my father, but he respected my decision and he loved me that much more for it. You're going to have to make some powerful decisions right now with yourself. And you're going to have to look at yourself and find out what is important to you. You're going to have to start trimming away some things that you were doing before that no longer serve that purpose. We have to learn how to adapt to our challenges. And you are not alone. Making tough decisions are never easy, but I want to help you get through this. Because remember, it is in the tough times that the courageous person is summoned to make the tough decisions. And this builds character. And the character that you're forming is going to be the person that will step into the greatest of opportunities and take them on with no hesitation. We're being challenged right now. A lot of pressure is being put on everyone. So let's help you make tougher decisions by providing you with 2 steps. The first step is personal time. I call this me time. Taking out 30 minutes to an hour each day to sit down and ask yourself some questions. It is through the questions that reasons come up for us. We start finding answers when we start probing into the problems that we have in our centers, in ourselves. I mentioned this earlier about us running from ourselves and being so used to being in a fast-paced society. And now that things have slowed down, we are unaware of what to do with ourselves. This is a perfect time to start doing that investigation. We can also learn more about ourselves during this time. Getting a pen and pad out, writing in your journal, taking down some ideas, some thoughts, restructuring your goals, asking yourself, what do I want to do going forward? What is this all about for me? What matters to me? This is why it's so good for us to have that personal self-confrontation, as Howard Thurman talked about. The second step is creating values. This also comes from sitting down with ourselves in that personal confrontation. Values are important to us because if we don't know what our values are, we begin to operate from other people's values, and then we live vicariously through others. This is why you can be frustrated, you can be angry, you can be upset, you can even be resentful if you're not careful, because you may be living someone else's goals, someone else's dreams, someone else's ideas, and they're happy, but you're not. So right now is a time that you have a lot of time to yourself to look at what is your value system. Some examples would be maybe your value system is learning, maybe it's family, finances, health, creativity, exercise. There's a lot of values out there. I would encourage you to explore what types of values there are, because there's many, and what falls into your line of interest. Then the next step with that value system is writing down 10 values. Then you narrow it down to 5. Then you find ways to operate from those 5 values as much as you can daily. This helps you to create balance in your life. This also gives you a sense of purpose, of meaning, so that when you do have a tough situation, you have resources to fall back on that will give you the courage to get through that moment. This is why values are so important for us to begin to look at. So you got 2 things that can help you make tough decisions. One is getting to know yourself better, personal time. Sit down with yourself, ask questions, write things out, write your ideas out. You'll fall in love with yourself again, trust me. And the second thing is developing values, having a value system that you can operate from, because if you're in a tough situation, you can ask yourself, do I really need to say yes to this? Is it in alignment with what I want? This is very good for business and also in relationships. Does this person align with what your values are? Or are they going the opposite direction? Or is this tough situation, if I make this decision, is it taking me away from my value system? This allows us to weather the storms, ladies and gentlemen. To provide you with more support in making tough decisions, I'm going to provide the link to my free ebook in the notes section of this podcast. It's called Finding Your Inner Champion. Download that free ebook and you'll discover in that book the 3 things that I did that allowed me to make the tough decisions to get me through one of the greatest challenges of my life. In the words of Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. Keep going, champions. And the going will get tougher. But tough times don't last, right? Tough people do. And tough people make tough decisions. You can make tough decisions. You deserve to look out for yourself a little bit more. You deserve to get through these storms that you're going through. I know you can, and I'm cheering you on. Until then, I encourage you all to be that courageous creator of change in your life. This is the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up Podcast with myself, Adrian Starks, and thank you for listening. Subscribe to the show and connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube at Champion Up with Adrian Starks. Go to championuppodcast.com to be inspired by more life-changing content. Until then, I encourage you to be that courageous creator of change in your life.